If he calls, I won't say never, I'll say now. Use me, Lord, somehow. He's at work every minute. His great plan, I am in it. I'll say now. Use me, Lord, somehow. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up and make a difference. Get up and make a change. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up with all my might. Get up and give you all my life. I want to make that difference today. Jesus changes lives forever. If he calls, I won't say never, I'll say now. Use me, Lord, somehow. He's at work every minute. His great plan, I am in it. I'll say now. Use me, Lord, somehow. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up and make a difference. Get up and make a change. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up with all my might. Get up and give you all my life. I want to make that difference. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up and make a difference. Get up and make a change. With all my heart, this is what I say. I wanna get up with all my might. Get up and give you all my life. I want to make that difference today. We love, we love, we love, we love. Because you first loved us. We serve, we serve, we serve and praise. Because through Jesus we are saved. Oh, 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 oh. Show me the way to give. Oh, 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 oh. Show me the way to live. You're my inspiration, my destination. All I say and do. I wanna love
Today's story is about Simon the Zealot.
Zealot? Who's a zealot?
Let's listen to the story and find out. The Zealots were one of the little-known followers of Jesus, who were also known as the Canaanites or Zealots. The Zealots also lived in Galilee, and Simon the Zealot was one of them. The Zealots were fanatical Jewish nationalists who completely disregarded the suffering and struggle involved for what they regarded as the purity of their faith. The Zealots had immense hatred for the Romans, and it was this hate that destroyed the city of Jerusalem. Josephus records that the Zealots were reckless people and were zealous in good practices. Not much personal information is known about Simon the Zealot. But from the background of the Zealots, one can understand that he was a fanatical nationalist. He had immense devotion to the law and bitter hatred for people who dared to compromise with Rome. Yet, Simon emerged as a man of faith. He gave up all his hatred for the faith he had in his master and the love he was willing to share with the fellow disciples, and especially Matthew, the Roman tax collector. There was a time when Simon the Zealot would have killed anyone in loyalty to Israel. He became a man who understood that God will accept no forced service. Simon the Zealot, too, died as a martyr, and his apostolic symbol is a fish lying on a Bible, which indicates that he was a fisherman who later became a fisher of men through preaching.
That was an interesting story indeed.
The Holy Tales.
Let me tell you the story of Emily. There lived a young girl called Carol. She was 6 years old and a very popular girl in school. She was friendly and sweet, and everyone wanted to be friends with her. One day, a new girl called Emily came into Carol's class. She was a quiet and shy little girl. She went and sat all by herself in the last row. Carol, who was sitting in the front row, turned back at Emily and smiled to make her feel comfortable. Emily smiled back at her, a little hesitant. The teacher entered the class and began teaching. Soon, the bell rang and it was lunch break. All the children got up and ran out into the garden to play, except Emily. Carol was about to leave the classroom, and she looked back and saw Emily sitting all alone, looking out of the window. Carol went up to her and said,
Hey, why don't you come and join us? It's fun during the breaks. We all play together. Come.
Emily didn't know if she really wanted to go out and play with the others. She was feeling very shy in her new school. But Carol would not leave her alone. She pulled Emily by her hand and ran out of the classroom. She took her out into the garden and brought her to her other friends.
Look, we have a new friend. Everyone, meet Emily. Emily, these are my friends.
Emily smiled shyly. There was one boy in the group who did not smile back at Emily. He said,
No, I'm not going to play with her. I am not playing if she's playing with us.
Saying this, he stomped off. Emily started crying and she ran away from everyone. Carol was angry with Tim for his rude behavior, so she made a plan and discussed it with her other friends. Next day, after class, Carol went out to play with her friends. They took Emily with them too. But this time, they did not take Tim along with them. Tim sat all by himself and watched everyone playing together and having fun. He felt really bad. He thought to himself,
That's okay. They'll want me to play with them tomorrow.
The next day, the same thing happened. Emily, Carol, and all of their other friends were playing together, this time too without Tim. Tim was very angry with Carol for leaving him out. He walked up to all of them and said,
How can you all start playing without me?
Now, do you realize how Emily must have felt when you chose not to play with her?
Tim realized his fault. He apologized to Emily and they all started playing together happily. So, it is never a good feeling if people don't choose you. We should always love everyone the same way.
The Holy Tales.
I was thinking of telling you the story of Queen Esther. We all remember Queen Esther, don't we?
Yes, I remember her. So do I.
Yes, I think I do a little too.
All right, let us all get together and hear the story of Queen Esther, who was a remarkable woman and a great example of faith and courage.
Whoa! Girl power! Yay!
Esther was a beautiful young woman and was raised by a man called Mordecai, who had taken her as his own daughter after both her parents had died. Esther was chosen to be the queen of King Xerxes. She was extremely beautiful and a very elegant woman. She was taken to the king's court, and the king immediately fell in love with her. However, the king was unaware of the fact that Esther was actually a Jewish woman. Mordecai had asked her to keep her family background and nationality a secret from the king. Esther did as she was told. All of the Jews who lived in Israel were all driven out of their country almost 70 years earlier, and all of them were exiled in Persia. Esther's stepfather, Mordecai, was a man of great dignity, and he refused to bow down to Haman, who was a very high official and an advisor to the king. Haman was a very arrogant man. He could not take Mordecai's disrespect towards him, and so he plotted against him to get him removed from the court. However, Esther soon found out about Haman's plan. She got to know that Haman was planning to kill Mordecai, and she needed to do something about it. But she feared going up to the king in his courtroom, because in those days, whoever entered the king's throne room without permission was put to death. So, Esther thought about another plan to confront the king. She prayed and fasted for 3 long days, and finally arranged for a banquet for the king and Haman alone. King Xerxes and Haman came for the elaborate banquet, and the king was extremely pleased with her arrangements. Queen Esther then gathered the courage and confessed all about her ancestry to her husband and told him all about her being a Jew. King Xerxes loved his queen very much. He believed Queen Esther and was persuaded by her love for him. He decided not to punish her. Then Esther said, "If I have been able to please the king, and if he regards me with favor, then let him write an order ruling the death penalty of Haman, who is planning to destroy the Jews in the king's province." King Xerxes agreed to his wife and immediately ordered that Haman must be hanged in the same gallows which he had prepared for Mordecai.
Wow! That was such a clever move by Queen Esther to save her father and her people.
Yes, she was indeed a smart and wise woman. But most importantly, it was her faith in God which brought this wisdom upon her. Now, who wants to answer today's question and win some brownie points?
Me!
All right. So, today's question is, What was the name of the man who raised Queen Esther after her parents died?
Mordecai.
Excellent, Gumbo! You win a brownie point! Haha, these kids are super excited with the new story. Hope you enjoyed it too. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.